Gormaga Ceann Comhairle. I'll use half my time myself and I'll leave the remainder to the Minister. Minister, I suppose roads have been the topic of debate for the last week or so, and look, I welcome the announcement in Limerick, but there's a road in my own constituency in Cork North Central which has, I think, been the topic of debate for about 25 years by my reckoning. It's the North Ring Road in Cork City. So I would appreciate, look, Minister, that great work is being done on the north side of Cork City in terms of the rollout of the CMATS plan, and it will provide for railway infrastructure and cycle infrastructure in the north side of Cork City. But if the Minister could give comment about the North Ring Road, its status and where he sees it going into the future. The second question I'd like to bring up, Minister, is regarding PCR testing, and I welcome the Government's, I suppose, the circumstances in which the Government is changing with the virus, in that it's bringing in further restrictions in terms of testing and quarantining and so on. But I was listening to the Taoiseach last night on a radio interview, I think it was on RT Radio 1, and he had indicated that where best possible that a two-island approach would be sought in terms of PCR testing and quarantining. And given that the British this week have announced fairly stringent regime and draconian measures, while some of them might be welcome and required, I was just wondering if what the Minister's comments were in that regard, given that the Taoiseach had indicated that a two-island strategy might be the best way to approach this issue. And my last query then is in relation to in the programme for government, 20% of overall funding for capital programmes in terms of road was to be designated for transport, for active travel transport initiatives, walking and cycling infrastructure. And if the Minister could just elaborate on that 20% provision, is that a requirement on all capital programmes going forward, or is it we'll say, specific to the different plans that are being planned at the moment, or is it a requirement that 20% would be met? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy O'Sullivan. Thank you for that, Minister.
Deputy O'Sullivan, just on the North Ring Road in Cork, and I've had very good meetings with the councils down there, and there are variety of plans, and I'm trying to remember now the full details, but I do recall the case or the argument made for very immediately a new distributor road for public transport, good active travel measures, and I'm trying to record the geography of it across North Cork. But I remember talking with the council, and it did seem that that would meet that upgrade and improved road network in that area was needed. I'll have to come back with the details. The wider issue of a kind of a further outer, be it motorway or other distributor road, as I said, is connected to a variety of different other issues we have to consider. Included in that is the advancement, in my mind, of very significant rail infrastructure projects in Cork. The twin tracking from Middleton to Kent Station to work through, and then the building of new stations in the likes of Monard or Blarney on the way to Mallow gives us the potential to develop a new metropolitan rail network for Cork that would particularly benefit the north side of Cork. And that is that's a project that I believe would have huge enhancement in terms of housing and other issues. With regard to the two-island approach, I agree with the Taoiseach. That is why we are in regular contact with the UK government. It's obviously framed by the fact that in the island here we have two administrations and we have a border that we cannot seal. So it makes sense in that context to work on a two-island basis. And regarding 20%, yes, that is 20% of the overall capital funding, 10% to go to walking, 10% cycling. They obviously dovetail significantly, but it was OECD recommendation, and it's following international best practice.
We must move on.